Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name's Amanda and I'm so glad you are here keeping me company today. As the title of this video suggests, I'm going to be talking to you about my thoughts on finding your own art style and what that actually means to me personally. Also, I'll let you know what I've been up to in the past couple of weeks, and which includes sharing some of my design process when it came to designing my new logo, as well as getting in the spring mood with a cheery animal painting at the end of the video. The weather here in Suffolk has been absolutely gorgeous the past few days. The sun has been shining with blue skies and it's actually felt like spring has begun. Could all be a show. The weather never stays good for long, does it? So we tried to make the most of it with some lovely nature walks over the weekend, which really helped lift my mood. And I thought I'd share some of that with you now. I think it's really hard to not compare yourself to other artists, especially when those are the artists who inspire you. I will catch myself looking at their work and thinking, oh, I'm never going to have that kind of level of skills, or I'm not going to be good enough to sell my art, or even that I'm not posting enough content on social media. The negative thoughts just keep going. But I think we need to remember that comparing your art to somebody else's journey can take away from your own unique voice and creativity. Every artist grows at their own pace, and we need to remember that our art is still valuable to us as it reflects our own experiences and ideas. So I think we need to stop comparing ourselves. Trust me, this is a pep talk for me as well, as I am the worst for this. But I think the best thing you can do when the annoying negative thoughts come flooding in is try and focus on making progress. And as long as we make these tiny steps in the right direction, it can change your way of thinking and make a positive impact in your art. So maybe we stop comparing ourselves to other artists and start comparing yourself to yourself. Look at your old sketchbooks and drawings. I bet you can see a development in your work, and even if it's tiny, it's still progress. And I think that should be celebrated. And speaking of progress is a very personal thing and something I think only you can determine for yourself. Back in March 2023, the very first painting I did was a robin with watercolour. We had come across this beautiful little plump robin on one of our nature walks, and he followed us for ages. For some reason, I felt an overwhelming connection with that little robin, and I think it was because I was in mourning for my granddad, who had recently passed, and we gave out little robin pins as a remembrance for him at his funeral. I'm not really that much of a spiritual person, but that robin gave me comfort that day and reminded me of my granddad. So I took a picture and I thought, I'm going to try and paint him later as a reminder. And this is the little guy that I came up with. I painted him with my very first Winsor & Newton Cotman watercolour travel set, which, by the way, I think is the best set for beginners. And I remembered how proud I was of this robin. And recently I've been thinking about designing a new logo. And as this was my very first painting, I thought it would be fitting for me to try and include a robin in my new logo. So last week I attempted a robin again. And what better way to see if you've made progress than to reattempt old drawing or a painting from 2 years ago. So yeah, I think I can see improvement, and I think I prefer the style of the second robin. But again, it's all down to preference. It's interesting to think about how your art can change over time. And if I draw this robin in 5 years' time, I wondered what it would look like. Wondered, how my style would change. But this term of finding your style is everywhere, and everyone is so caught up in the idea of having a style. I don't think it's something that shows up out of the blue one day. I guess it would be wonderful to have an art style which is instantly recognisable, but unless you want to paint the same subject in the same way over and over again until you die, it's not going to stay the same. We learn new things, we gain experiences, or get inspired by different ideas, different mediums, and our ways of creating evolves. Just like my robin has. I think that's a good example. And don't forget, even Picasso's art style changed over and over again throughout his life, and if he can do it, so can you. So with the help of Canva, I was able to create my new logo. I've only just heard about Canva. Sorry about being late to the party. But Canva is a great tool if you're thinking about creating a logo for your business or thinking about your overall branding design. It can give you plenty of tips and tricks along the way, and it is free to download with options for subscription. But they do have templates that can help you design logos, and I think they're really, really handy, and especially to take inspiration from. Canva has a lot of text font options which you can choose from, and by searching through its catalogue I found a perfect font for me, and this is actually how I write my A's for Amanda, so that sold it for me. But I did want the text to be clear enough to be able to read, even when it's really small. But I would say, if you can, try not to use their images for your main logo, as they officially won't belong to you, and you want to make this as unique as possible. I didn't feel comfortable to use their clip arts, as I wanted the artwork to remain mine, hence why I used Bertie the Robin. But I also painted some trees in my sketchbook and scanned them in to include them in my design. Canva also helps you try and make your branding consistent, as you can save your favourite fonts and create brand colours and store them for when you're creating new posts, I say, for social media. And I think this is something that I can tweak throughout the year and make seasonal. As long as the main elements remain the same, we can have a design that is consistent, but still inject some of my art and personality to it. And thanks to Sarah Renee Clark's colour cubes, I have a thing for pistachio green and I wanted to include this colour as much as possible, as well as pick other earthy, calming shades that work well together. So I spent some time and played around with the colours and the textures until I felt like the design was more of a reflection of me and the message that I wanted to convey to somebody who was maybe visiting my social media platforms and looking at my art. I think to show a level of care and professionalism is really important, especially when you are building a brand or have a small business. You want the viewer to get a sense of what you are about and what you can offer. And I think this is the beauty of Canva, as you can be as creative as you want to be. I know I am still learning how to use and improve with Canva. There is a lot of things I don't know, and this is all a learning curve for me, but so far I think it's a great tool for small businesses and artists who want to improve their overall branding look, and I would highly recommend you check this out. Let me know in the comments your thoughts with Canva, and if you've used it before and what you use it for. I'd love to know your experiences. By the time my day off rolled around again, the sun was beaming through my little studio and it definitely felt and looked like spring. So I was inspired to draw and paint something with a touch of spring about it. As you can tell from my last video and my last couple of bird paintings, I really enjoyed using my coloured pencils over watercolour, and I wanted to push that further today. I've been toying around with this sketch of a red kite, not really sure what medium I want to use, but I fancied using my new Archer's hot pressed watercolour pad a go. I absolutely love the cold press one, but the tooth in it is just so deep and I wanted to use something nice and smooth to lay my coloured pencils down. So I wanted to give this new pad a go, and I needed a paper that could handle both watercolour and coloured pencils. So yeah, let me know what you would recommend in this situation. And also, I want to work on my pencil art more. So I am on the hunt for the best surface, which works well with coloured pencils. I have a few ideas in mind, so yeah, watch this space. But back to this drawing, I had an idea for a hare leaping over snowdrops, as snowdrops are everywhere at the moment and I haven't painted any yet, which is unlike me, so I thought I'd better get cracking. My thought process was to paint a nice blurry, dreamy background in watercolour and a nice layer of colour wash over the hair, and then when it's all dried, go in over the top with my Polychromos pencils for the details and really try and put in as much detail as I possibly can. This is the plan for this hair. Just as a side note, my lighting here is all over the place. Funny, I don't normally draw in the daylight as I'm normally working. But it's been so dark lately, but it's something I didn't really think about, but I hope it's not too distracting. So here I use my favourite Daniel Smith Lavender watercolour for the background, which I encouraged it to granulate as much as possible to give it that nice dreamy hazy effect. And then I did a nice light wash with some raw sienna over the hair for the base layer. As I am new to pencil art, I thought giving myself a base layer of colour would give me some grace and speed with this drawing. And I think using a base layer is a great idea, so you're not starting off with a white base, and it's almost like giving yourself a comfort blanket. And you can use a variety of mediums as a base layer in your art, including acrylic paint or water-soluble wax crayons. Let me know what you like to use as a base layer. I think my preferred option is watercolour, as it's just so light and you can do really light washes. So when the watercolour was 100% dry, I went over layer by layer with my Polychromos pencils and some of my Derwent drawing pencils. This paper is 7 inches by 10 inches, so not very big, but it did take me an overall 3 to 4 hours to complete. Obviously, I stopped for snacks and coffee a few times, and I helped my husband put up some shelves in the garage. But overall, I'm pretty sure it took me around about 3 to 4 to complete, and I was still making tweaks the next day. I tell you this so you forgive me for putting in a time lapse, as I don't want you to fall asleep on me, but it just shows you that colour pencil art is a slow medium, and I know I didn't really take my time, and I wish I did. Some of the layers and colour choices I wish I had done differently, but for me to get better at pencil art, I think I really need to find my patience and care more about the details. I guess I'm learning about pencil art and layering, and I most probably done a lot of things wrong here technically, but overall I really enjoyed the process of bringing this hair together, pencil by pencil, layer by layer, and I really enjoyed thinking hard about the colours and trying to figure out the fur textures, all of which I want to get better at. I do want to push myself with pencil art, and I just adore the amazing details and lifelike drawings you can accomplish with them. I think the key with colour pencils is the surface. You really need a smooth surface, and although this paper is hot pressed, I definitely think it has some texture to it. And now for the snowdrops. I think snowdrops are such an enchanting winter flower which blooms between January and March, and they're just a beautiful reminder that spring is on its way. I used 3 shades of Polychromos greens for my snowdrops, numbers 170, 167 and 278. Overall, I do love the Archer's hot pressed watercolour paper. I am looking into other surfaces to try with colour pencils, and one of them is graphic drawing film, which is super smooth and looks like tracing paper. So I'll let you know how that goes. I'm very excited about that. But I think you have to try these things out to find out, if they work for you, and you never know. You never know. You might come across a gem. And here's my finished hare and snowdrop illustration. I think I'm quite happy with him, but let me know in the comments what you think. Hopefully I can only get better with coloured pencils, as it is something I want to invest time into and learn more about. I think it was Albert Einstein who said, the more you learn, the more you realise how much you don't know. And that can't be any more correct in my case, but there you go. Thank you for keeping me company today. We are nearly already a week into March already. I can't believe it. And I hope the weather here holds out for the weekend. I know it's probably fake spring that we're having at the moment, and a blizzard is probably on its way to us, but let's try and enjoy the nice weather while we can. Well, I hope you enjoyed today's video, and if you did, please give me a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel so you don't miss out on any future content. Until my next video, have fun creating art that makes you happy. Take care, bye for now.